Lawmakers continue to battle over immigration reform, a border wall, and a solution for immigrants brought to this country illegally as children. Mick Mulvaney is director of the White House Office of Management and Budget and joins us from the North Lawn. Mick, welcome to the program.
Lauren, it's a privilege as always. Thanks for having me.
Both sides were so close to a deal for funding the border wall in exchange for protection of dreamers. Senator Chuck Schumer yesterday took funding away from the wall. Aren't the chances of a deal more bleak than ever?
No, I disagree. I saw that Senator Schumer mentioned that yesterday. I think that was political in nature. Senator Schumer's under a great deal of pressure from the left wing of his party, who are upset that he agreed to vote to open the government on Monday, and I think he had to sort of throw them a bone and take that off the table temporarily. I think everybody in Washington knows that without a wall, without border security, there will be no agreement on DACA. We want an agreement on DACA. The Democrats do too. So my guess is that's just a temporary setback designed mostly for political messaging. And when the president returns from overseas on Friday and negotiations begin face to face again, I think you'll see that things can get started relatively quickly.
You were a member of Congress and a key player in the 2013 government shutdown and voted with Republicans to repeal Obamacare in a way that led to the government shutdown. You were fighting for a matter of principle. How can you say that Democrats were irresponsible when they say they were fighting for a matter of principle?
Sure, and go back to 2013 because I was heavily involved in that. It was the precursor at that time of the Freedom Caucus, a group of conservatives, both in the House and the Senate, who were unwilling to vote for a funding bill. Why was that? We were asked to vote for something that we didn't believe in. We were asked to vote to fund Obamacare. We simply could not get to that point. We asked for certain things in exchange for that, didn't get those, so we voted not to fund Obamacare, and as a result, the government lapsed in appropriations, which is what we call a shutdown. Fast forward to today. The bill that went to the Senate on Friday had nothing that the Democrats opposed. They liked funding the government. They liked the children's health insurance program. They liked the delay in the Cadillac tax. They liked all those things, yet they still voted against the bill. This is unusual in Washington, D.C. Ordinarily, the way the government stays open is through the type of compromise that was contained in that bill that went to the Senate on Friday. I don't think anybody can remember a time when folks voted against a bill they liked in order to shut the government down. So I think the difference between 2013 was that the shutdown was sort of an indirect response, an indirect result of the decision not to vote for Obamacare. This weekend it was done on purpose, and that's a very, very strange thing.
You are also acting director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You're taking steps to overhaul the agency, which was created after the financial crisis in 2008. How do you respond to your critics who say you're trying to gut an agency that fights for consumers?
Yeah, I'm not gutting an agency. I took a lot of criticism for that this week because I asked for $0 from the Federal Reserve for this quarter. That doesn't mean that we're going to spend $0. What it means is that, as I got over there and learned a little bit more about the agency, was that they had set aside a reserve from previous years. They were sitting on a pile of $177 million worth of cash. They only need about $145 million to operate for the next quarter. It simply wasn't necessary for me to ask for more taxpayer dollars in order to fund that agency for this quarter. So that's why we asked for $0. No, we are not gutting the agency. I'm not burning it down. In fact, I've got an editorial out in the Wall Street Journal this week explaining what we are going to do and how we're going to change the agency. But the law requires me to do certain things as the director of CFPB. The law requires the agency, the Bureau, to do certain things, and we are absolutely going to continue to do that. Is it going to be different under my management than it was under the previous? Absolutely, but we're not gutting the agency.
You and I have talked before on this program about your Catholic faith. The U.S. Council of Catholic Bishops has been critical of the president's hard line on immigration and has called on both the White House and Congress to protect dreamers. How do you balance your Catholic principles when they might conflict with your politics?
You know, my Catholic faith defines who I am. There's no question about it, but I've never in my mind, in my 6 or 7 years in Congress, had that faith sort of tell me to do something else than I was doing. I've been able to reconcile those two things. I appreciate the input that the bishops have. I really do. I appreciate that they challenge us in our faith and make us think things through and make us consider things we might not otherwise have done. But on the DACA issue, for example, the position of the bishops, the position of the White House is actually completely reconcilable. We want to help these folks, and we will help them. We just want to to do it in a responsible way that speaks to not just the folks who are here in the country illegally, but the other 330 million people who live here. The president is the president of everybody, not just the folks here on DACA. We will look forward to having a DACA resolution. We will look forward to solving the immigration situation. We will look forward to securing the southern border. There's an opportunity here for the president to do that. I respect and recognize the bishop's position, and I think at the end of the day, they're not going to be that far from where we end up.
Great having you here, Mick Mulvaney, Director of the Office of Management and Budget.
Thanks, Lauren.